Hey guys, we're here on stream right now, but we're going to talk about something that I've been hearing in the community a fair amount lately, and I just want to have a discussion about it. And that is the difference between how newer designers and established designers are treated when it comes to their courses being brought out. So, a lot of people, sometimes newer designers and sometimes people who just aren't in design at all, will say that if they'll look at a course that's maybe a bit on the quirky side or maybe has some stuff to it they don't quite understand, and they'll say, well, if an unknown designer had created that, they'd get ripped apart for that, but because he's established, everybody thinks it's great. And so I think that's a conversation worth having. And so I've got 27 people in chat right now who can absolutely chime in here. We have some established designers in here. We have some newer designers in here. And yeah, I want to kind of look at that. So one of the things that I think is, yeah, exactly, Charlie. So one of the things I think we need to look at is it, what kind of options do newer designers have to get the exposure in the first place, and to become a known designer? Well, right now we're doing playthroughs of the rookie design contest. So if somebody were a newer designer and they wanted to get exposure and feedback and whatnot, they could enter the contest. And there you go. They'll potentially be known that way. It'll be a rookie design contest, so people will go into it knowing these are rookie designers. The bar is going to be a little bit different, but they're not going to be compared against established designers in theory, because they're going to be compared against their peers, right? So that's one option. There was the Design League, which is still going to go on. It's just that Maddie, who runs it, has been very busy lately, so it hasn't gone on. I don't know that you can just do a blind contest, though, to be honest, Brian, because so there's a couple issues with doing it blind. Depending on what platform you're in. I mean, right here we see this one is CG 444. For those watching on YouTube, sorry, we see right there CG 444, right? Now, if I was playing this on PlayStation, I wouldn't be able to see that. So yeah, the premise and theory, execution. The other thing, yeah, I mean, the other thing though is I think it takes away from the designer's ability to promote their course too. And I think that once your course is published, you should be promoting it. So, and I think that that's another way you can become known too, right? Another way you could do it is just promote the heck out of your courses so that people play them, right? So yeah, what's the difference between a new designer and an established designer? I think an established designer, people know who they are. So, got to the point where if it's not my way or our way, then it's wrong. We need great up and comers getting bad feedback made to feel like they aren't a viable part of the design community. Maybe there's a bit of that, Terry. The thing is that it's a community with human beings in it. Human beings aren't perfect, so there are going to be cliques that are gonna there are going to be cliques that are going to get created, right? There are going to be people that have their favorites. There are going to be people that are going to see new people coming in as a bit of a threat, which is unfortunate because really, new people coming in bring more content, which is fantastic for all of us, right? All right, let's not go down that road. But yeah, to really look at, so why is it, do you guys feel like, why do you think sometimes an established designer does something that may be a bit of a head scratcher and they don't get ripped apart for it? And I agree with what Maddie just said there. A new designer publishes something great, it'll get recognized. I think you're going to see that in this rookie contest. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to come out of this rookie contest, and people are going to be like, wow, that guy's a great designer. If you look last year's rookie contest, Scottish, Manatee, Heisenberg, McTrees, who else was there? Right? Who now are all in the dream team, who are all known designers. So they understand the rules of golf design. Yeah, I rather than rules, Maddie, I would say fundamentals. I would say fundamentals. I think that one of the things established designers do really well is they learn the fundamentals early on, and then they build on those fundamentals with some of their ideas, and some of their ideas work and some don't. But when their idea doesn't work, it's not because there's a fundamental sculpting issue or something like that. It's just that the idea doesn't work. And so that's why but I don't like the idea of rules, because of what Charlie just said. Rules are there to be made, to be broken. But the fundamentals are there. You know how to create environments, you know how to sculpt, you know how to surface, you know how to texture, you know how to do all that stuff. When you know that, then you can go there. So the frustration, people saying they must have had a reason for doing that. Okay. Yeah, that's a fair point, Tyson. And what I'll say to that is, I think that's partly where people get. I think when you have a resume of courses where you've shown the ability to create courses that make sense, then you are given a bit of liberty when something isn't something that, well, you don't understand it, right? You'll go, okay, well, they probably had a reason to do that, I just don't understand it. Whereas with a new designer, you don't have that yet. You don't have that catalog of courses that they have where you've seen they know what they're doing. They know how to create great courses, so then you're not as willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think that's true in all areas of life. Right? So, and I think it's something that, honestly, if you're a newer designer and you're struggling to get notoriety or exposure, there's ways to get it. And I think that you're better off focusing on creating golf courses as well as you can than complaining about established designers always getting the benefit of the doubt, personally. How the rules are broken is the key. Yeah, completely agree. Okay, so knowing the rules, how to break them, and what leads to provocative design ideas. In general, newer designers may have some very good ideas. They don't have the experience yet to pull off their vision. Okay, I'll agree with that. So I'm gonna go back to Gladwell's law. Gladwell's law is it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything, right? So I think an issue that some people have, not everybody, but some, is they come into the designer, or they come into the game, they come into the designer, they make a course. It takes them, say, 20 hours, maybe not even that long. And then they wonder why their course is seen as being poor. They haven't looked at any of the tutorials. They haven't learned any of the strategies that people who make great golf courses have used. And so, but then they immediately go, well, why don't people like me, right? And there's varying degrees of that. It's a game. Yeah, it is a game. And I agree with what Terry's saying. Design for yourself, promote yourself, take good feedback, and use it. And I agree. And I think one of the issues that people have is they give TGCTours too much weight. And so the question I would ask is, why do people give TGCTours so much weight? Quietly go about. Yep. Okay, goes back to Puff. I like to defend the course mate. Ben really liked it. I didn't understand it. Opinions are there to be shared. If you don't agree with opinion, don't try to come across as the only right opinion. Yeah, completely. And I was like, I don't get it. And that's fine. Yeah, everybody was a noob before, for sure. And so keep learning, take feedback, refine your craft. Maybe, Brian. Maybe. More, yeah, for sure. I think TGC is the only standard out there that provides a measuring stick which gives it value. Gives it its value. Maybe. Maybe. I'll tell you why I think people give TGCTours so much weight, and that's because they think that getting their course approved is how they're going to get plays, right? Or getting it on tour, especially, is how they're going to get plays. TGCTours is probably the biggest community within PGA Tour 2K21 that's actually, well, no, it's the second biggest because Barstool would be bigger. But, right, it's for course, like for genuine course design, it's probably the biggest. So people want to be a part of that. Designing horror shows for fun. Okay, sure. Yeah, it does, but that's fine. Sometimes, Pat. Sometimes. But I think, I mean, I go back to what Terry said. Design for yourself. It's a game. Have fun with it. The question then becomes, if you're wanting it to be seen out there, who do you want it to be seen by and why? If you're designing just because, no, I don't play the CC courses, Pat. If you're designing just because you want people to play your courses because you want the views, you're designing for the wrong reason. You're designing for the wrong reason. Course approved, course agree, Terry, but I would actually crank that up to tour worthy. People put way too much stock in tour worthy. Approved is approved is a course that's just, you know, not horrible, right? It's basically, it's a course that's playable anymore, but people take way too much they put way too much value on what one reviewer has decided. Who cares? Like, I just don't understand why people get wound up about that, other than it sucks to be rejected, which I get. Okay. That helps. Sure. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if approval is the issue. I think it's more the. But, I mean, but approved too. Like, there are people that throw massive wobblers over their course not being approved. But I do think that. I do think the other thing I think that people struggle with is that not everybody can be a great designer. Just like not everybody can be a great golfer, not everybody can be a great painter, not everybody can be a great dart player, not everybody can be a great accountant, not everybody can be a great whatever, right? There are people who, and I'm one of them, when it comes to design, I would never be a great designer, ever. The absolute best I would ever get, and this is if I put every ounce of my being into it, I would become potentially, maybe, a competent designer. Maybe. But that would be me putting all of my free time into design, which I don't want to do. So people, I think, have to accept that fact that people have different levels of skills. Digital Bunny, for example, he has an ability that nobody else has. And so his courses are always going to get massive acclaim because he has that ability, right? People need to accept that fact. Like, how does he create the courses he creates? No idea. And I bet he doesn't know either. Plays don't matter in the sense of Niagara Falls, Canada has an obscene number of courses and it's terrible. But I do what you're saying, Pat. If you're designing courses and nobody plays, like nobody ever played any courses, nobody would bother designing. I get that. There's a line to tread there. But yeah, if nobody's gonna bother playing your course, unless you're just playing and you want to play it yourself with your buddies, right? Which again needs to be something that you need to figure out. So, what's Graham said? Found that sometimes I play a course, I don't think much of it. Yeah. The more you play a course, sometimes the more you'll understand it. It is subjective, and I think that's something that needs to be kept in mind. And I think Old Head is a great example where Ben loves it. I have played it once. I didn't love it. But I also have said that it might be a designer versus player thing where the designers understand something that I don't, because I don't design. And that's fine, right? Head Island? What did I say? Anyways. And so, but I think that, oh, I said Old Head? Oh, Head Island. Sorry. Yeah, Head Island is what I meant. A lot of people who want to get into competitive contest fields as well. Yes, true. But not everybody's good enough. I mean, I hate to say it, but not everybody's good enough. And so your options are you either work to get better or you accept you're not good enough. Now, I could get into the whole, you know, being 46 years old, we didn't have participation trophies when I was a kid. Is that part of it? Is there a part of it that we need to be inclusive and so everybody gets into the contest? I mean, as long as people aren't, you know, discrimination happens everywhere in the world. It's just why are you being discriminated? That's the issue, right? If you're being discriminated against because of your gender or your sexual orientation or your color or any of that stuff, then that's offside, and we don't want that. But if you're being discriminated against because you don't have the skill necessary to accomplish the task that needs to be accomplished, that's completely fine. That's what a job interview is at work, right? That's what the hiring process is we're trying to figure out, are you, first of all, can you do the job? Do you have the skills to do the job? And second, will you fit in with the people that work here? Okay, so that's in a work environment. In a contest, we're determining, are you good enough to be in this contest? Do you have the skills to be in this contest? If you think you should have made a contest and you didn't, then what you need to do is build a course to show you should have been in that contest so that you'll get into the next one. Right? So I think the word discrimination has a negative connotation because it's only ever used when it's against particular demographics. I think you would have to look up the dictionary definition of discrimination, but I don't know that discrimination necessarily means because of a negative reason. I just think it means that you're not chosen for a reason, and the reason could be valid, but maybe not meeting the standard. I mean, they just, yeah, I don't know. A couple comments are open. Yeah, and I do. So if you're gonna call a contest the World Cup of Design or Dream Team, I think they have to be limited fields. I think there needs to be a criteria for how you get into those. Whereas if the CC contest or the rookie contest is going to have a criteria. CC is open. Design League is open. What else is there? National Treasure's fairly open. It had alternates. CC was completely open. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that again next year because of how big the field was, but yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think there's a difference between a connotation and a denotation. Denotation is the dictionary definition. Connotation is how we use the word. I think we use the word to only mean negative. I don't know that it necessarily means it. Oh, it is. Okay, thanks, Scoop. Never mind. I was wrong. Okay. So discrimination is not the word I wanted. Unjust of different. No, so it is. It's about being unjust. Okay. I thought it was just different treatment depending on anything. I didn't know it had to be unjust. My point was made though, right? Yeah. And the thing is that there's been alternate courses. If you look at Dream Team, the guys who got in as alternates, do you think those courses might get used on tour? I think they might. There's some really good courses made. But what did they do to get to that point? So that's the question I would ask is, so people who were, the 40 designers that were in, the 40 courses that were in the Dream Team, whether it was the 30 in the main field or the other 10 that were alternates, what did those designers do to get there? Yeah, Chris is right. The experience designer is always happy to help, for sure. But if you're a newer designer right now and you're not getting into World Cup and you're not getting into Dream Team, what can be done to get there? What can people do? I have some suggestions. I'm curious if you guys have any ideas, and I understand there's a delay. Win CC, okay, that's an option. It's one. I'll tell you what I think you should do. I think you should design courses. Don't worry about if it's a contest or not. I think you should market your course. Um I think you should make sure it's out there. I think you should do things like having your usernames all be the same. So if you're in a Twitch stream or on the game here or in your a Twitter or Instagram or whatever or in the forum, I think it should all be the same. I think that when you have different names everywhere, people have a hard time figuring out who you are, right? So branding is definitely going to help. And then if you're creating courses that are good enough and your branding is good and your self-promotion is good, people will find you, right? Use the forums, use the under construction part, show people your betas, get feedback, be a positive contributor to the community. Another thing I think people don't get is that if you're being a dink all the time, when it comes down to, you know what, the 32nd or the 40th spot in Dream Team, well, we could have this person or this person. I don't know. Well, you know what? This guy's an ass, and he's a pretty good guy. He's a really positive contributor. Who do you think we're going with? Like, who would you go with if it was down to they're both fairly similar designers? You know what I mean? Yeah. So Charlie and Benny having that contest is kind of an offshoot. Victor's had a few contests that are offshoots that are cool. There's a ton of opportunity. So one of the things I'll say to wrap this up, and I'll get playing again, is there's never been an easier time to be a great designer in this game, right? There's never been a better time because you have all of Canucks tutorials, you've got all of Ben's tutorials, you've got Maddie's Joy of Planting, you've got Mayday's the stuff that Mayday's done, the retaining walls and bunkering and stuff. You've got all the playthroughs that are being done. You have multiple people who are willing to play your course and give you feedback. You've got the forums. Look at someone like Ben. He lots of help. He took lots of help. Got branding. Yeah, absolutely, exactly. Yeah, and he was positive about it too. He's positive about it. So I think when you put all of that together, and the last thing I guess I'll say is there is some work you need to do. You don't just build a course and they will come. You need to make sure people know about your course. You need to be putting write-ups. If you want to be TGCTours, then TGCTours. But create a good write-up. Create a write-up that makes me go, I want to play this course. So have pictures and stuff, right? Use social media and have it be your own specific gaming social media account. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about like don't try to use one Twitter account for everything. Have your personal work whatever account and then have your gaming account. Like, I have my WhatAboutAmeobi Twitter account. It's all I ever put on there is gaming stuff. I have my own my actual name Twitter account. I don't ever use because who cares what I have to think about it. But I would never combine the two because why would I? You can have as many accounts as you want, just like you can have email addresses. So get your branding together, create great courses, make sure people know about them. You're off to the races. And so I think that if you're not getting to where you are right now, it's not because established designers get the benefit of the doubt. They might on occasion, where it's a human nature, but it's that you're in one of those areas you're lacking. Your courses either aren't good enough or you're not doing a good enough job of letting people know your course exists. Yes, Mayday, absolutely right. Feedback is the most important thing you'll get out of a contest, particularly something like the rookie contest. So those are just some thoughts off the top of my head, rambling with chat. If you've watched this on YouTube, I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed what you heard, hit like. Feel free to subscribe. Let me know you enjoy the type of content you're getting, and it also helps with the helps the channel keep going forward. Thank you for this. Comment below whether you agree or disagree with what we've said, and I'll see you guys next time.